So the one good thing about this sudden feast being held in Ren's honor is that it provides an excellent distraction. Every single elf in the world wants to talk to him and like make a toast to him and like get everything started. So if you wanted to, say, ask around if anyone's heard of maybe Clan Viola, what happened to them, if anyone knows about Arlith Len, that might not be a bad opportunity. Also, I'm just saying, Sabre, you promised Ren that you would find a keeper willing to perform a marriage ceremony, and you have yet to do that.
Oh my god, you're right.
I have so much to do with this stupid thing. Watching them, like, do all this, and then, like, I think I just, like, get this slowly horrified look on my face, like, oh, shit. I've been so busy, I forgot. I, like, look at everybody, I'm like, okay, you guys do check on this veil thing, I have to go, and I just, like, take off.
Where are you going?
I have work to do!
Do you want to go alone, or do you want to take somebody?
Oh, that's a good question. I need somebody who knows keepers. Does Landon know?
Landon was training to be a keeper.
Okay, great. I grab Landon. I run off and I find Landon and I like frantically take his shoulders and I'm like, I have a problem.
Landon was at the table with you, so what happens is you run off and you're like, shit, and then you run back and you grab Landon and you drag him away from the table.
Yes, that's right.
I love that. I love that image. Elliot's just like, in the back of his head, are they going to have sex?
Landon kind of stumbles and is like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
I need your help. I did so. Oh god, I forgot all about it, and he's gonna kill me. Ren's gonna kill me. Oh my god.
I mean, the Arlith event is like a 2-week or a 3-week long event, so you've got some time. But then again, Sabri's a dumbass. So
yeah, I need to find a keeper because Ren's getting married, and he told me I had to find him a keeper, and I don't know any keepers.
He's what?
He's getting married to Zevran.
Does Zevran know?
Probably not. I mean, is he gonna say no? It's Ren. Look at him. He's got 13 kids on him.
Who could say no to that?
Landon looks over at Ren. He's like, I mean, that's a big deal. He says, okay, I mean, well, the best place to find a keeper would be at the Hahren'al. That's where all the keepers are. And Harrens can also theoretically perform a wedding. And I'm just like, Sabre, the list of people that you know who could perform a Dalish wedding ceremony that you could talk to that aren't dead. The only two that immediately spring to mind is Landon could do it. Landon could perform the wedding ceremony. Also, Keeper Verana could do it too.
Oh.
Oh no.
Or any one of 1,000 keepers that you don't know who are here.
Oh shit. I'm just like looking at Landon in a panic, like, I don't know who, I know you and I know Keeper Varan. That's it. That's the list of keepers. And I don't like talking to strangers. I don't want to ask a stranger. That sounds like a bad idea.
He says, you're not really going to ask me to do it, right? Like, that's kind of a bad look. Like, I don't have my Valisline anymore, and he's basically a hero to the Dalish.
Saying you wouldn't do it.
Like, if you insist, I guess I will. But I'm just saying, optics.
Okay, it sounds like you don't want to do it. Okay.
No, I will do it if you insist. But like, I'm just saying, consider the optics of an elf with no Valisline marrying the hero of Erelden.
I don't think Ren cares, and that's all that really matters.
Well, yeah, that's fair, but still, his wedding is not going to go unremarked upon.
I mean, it will if you has a say in it. Although, if you wanted to, you could also help me plan that side of things.
I don't know how to do that.
I was thinking daisies. It feels awkward to ask Keeper Verana to do it, so...
Like I said, I'll do it if you really insist, but I want you to, like I said, consider the optics. People are going to want to attend the hero for Erelden's wedding, and I don't have a Valisline. Just saying.
I think you put more on that than it needs to be.
I really don't think I do.
I just sort of, throw my hands up in the air. I'm like, fine. It's a bad optics look. I don't even know what that means, but then you have to help me find somebody else.
He says, alright. I mean, like I said, the best place to ask would be at the Hahren'al. That's where all the keepers are going to be gathering formally. But if you want to ask someone privately, like you said, the only other keeper you know is my mother.
Do you know any keepers? Anybody is good friends that you could recommend?
Well, I mean, I met a couple first the last time I was at the Arlith then. Some of them might be keepers, or some of them would, I'm sure absolutely anyone would be willing to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's Ren. Do I have a sense of, Ren told me he wanted it to be small.
And you decided you did not want to abide by that,
yes,
as I recall.
I did. But also, he's being a dickhead.
All he did was have fun with some cute kids.
Yeah. Just, be the most unsettled person Just give me a heart attack the entire day. I already have enough of a heart attack with everybody else who needs watched over.
Lennon says, okay, well, how about this? The best place to find any of the firsts is always the healing tent, so how about we start there?
I think I blush a little, but I'm like, yeah, and that's, sure, yeah, I think I know where that is.
We go back to the feast, where it's really getting in full swing now, and Elian, you were told, like, yeah, well, you should probably look into Clan Viella. You're the sneaky one in the party. You should probably get into that. But on the other hand, a minstrel band of Dalish elves just set up, and that instrument looks interesting. Like you should start investigating Clan Viella, but is that a lute? She's not holding it like a lute.
Well, also, musicians talk. Maybe one of them
what
knows.
You're telling yourself.
Right, exactly. I just imagine that you're like talking, muttering under your breath and like staring at the instruments, and I'm just like, okay, so talk to them about the instruments if you want.
You're no good, you're just an enabler.
I mean, if you're gonna sit here awkwardly talking to yourself, might as well go. Ask her what it is and how to play it. I know you like instruments, Elian.
Oh my god, okay, fine. So he finds a way to get over toward where they're at.
So Dalish music, you do not know this, but just as a general introduction, Dalish music has two settings. One, extremely sad, because the history of the Dalish is very, very tragic. And the other setting they have is, everything sucks, but we're going to party anyway.
Right?
Which is the bangers that they always play at the Armathon. They are currently in setting 2 because, this is a feast.
Right.
They just found that the hero of Ferelden is alive, and they need to celebrate it appropriately. So they're in setting 2, and they're having a banging good time. And they are just finishing up that first song as you approach.
Oh, this is excellent, because if y'all have forgotten, Elian is a fantasy hick. He knows how to play fast-picked music. So he's really excited to meet and figure this out.
I'm just watching in interest, oh, this is gonna be good, fantasy popcorn, all right. Grabs part of a Druffalo and starts eating, let's go.
You all had a job to do, but on the other hand, the Battle of the Bands is about to start.
This is what happens when I leave Hemlin in charge of important missions.
So I think he just kind of sidles over toward where they're at before they pick up the next song. That was very good picking.
The one who is playing that lute-like instrument that does not, she's not holding it like a lute. It's got too few strings to be a lute, but it sounds lute adjacent. Looks over to you and she's in a really good mood, right? Because it's a fucking party. It's the Armathon. Hell yeah! But then she turns to you and she sees you as Shemlin, and she raises an eyebrow at you and she says, "It requires a certain amount of dexterity that I don't think a Shemlin can pull off."
Ooh. It's going down.
No, I feel like his back kind of stiffens at that. I don't have my instrument with me at the moment, but I am
Leander
a fellow.
from behind you says, "I brought your mountain dulcimer."
Oh my god.
No excuses, bitch! This is happening!
I didn't bring, yes you did.
You are going to be rolling performance before the session is over.
Yeah, he shoots Leander just the best look and takes the instrument. I was interested in learning how I might play.
She says, "This Shem wants me to teach him how to play the mountain lute." And the rest of the band goes, "Oh, a Shemlin wants to learn the mountain lute. Oh, I see." It's all this very big hullabaloo.
I might have the trappings of Valreo, but I was trained in the mountains for Elden, so anything that you can throw at me, I can take it.
She says, "Is that a challenge, Shem?" The Shem thinks he can outplay me.
Why not?
Oh! And then immediately people are starting a betting pool.
I love that.
Talgan appeared out of somewhere. He's got a hickey on his neck now.
Yeah.
So he's like, 2 sovereigns on the Arlesian! And then it goes from there.
I also add my money to the pool. Yep, my money's on the Arlesian too.
I love you.
I think Leander, to give you an extra kick of motivation, puts a sovereign on the elf.
Oh! Yes. There we go.
I just give him a look.
Consider it an act of motivation. So as the betting pool is getting started in earnest, like there's 2 hats on the ground now. And she says, all right, how do you want to do this, Shem? And she's like strums her mountain lute. Says, are we doing this improvisation style or are we using predetermined pieces?
Hit me with your best improvisation.
He says, and shall we measure it by the crowd? There's already like a crowd forming now. Like you started this in the middle of the big feasting tent where the hero for Elden was being honored. Everyone's here, and now everyone's looking at you.
Oh, I've never shied away from a crowd in my life.
She says, then I suppose we'll have to trust this wonderful crowd to be the honest judges. And she winks out at the crowds, and a couple of girls like faint at the sight of her winking.
Oh, his bisexual heart, if it was not already promised to another.
And she returns her gaze to you, and she says, I believe the rule is the guest gets to go first. Please, dazzle us. And she like bows and steps back.
Oh, excellent.
So you are going to be rolling performance, but I want you to describe what kind of music Elian plays.
Okay. So obviously he's not going to just launch into his best song.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
no.
You gotta warm up.
Gotta warm it up.
Yeah.
It's not slow by any means, but it is not a reel either.
A jaunty tune.
Yeah, it's got a little pep to it. It's definitely a dancing song, but it's not a full on like everybody is whirling on the dance floor until they are dizzy.
We can't start raving with the first song. You gotta wait.
Exactly.
All right, go ahead and roll a performance check. 15 is a pretty good roll. 15 is a pretty good roll. So you get the party started. Like you're mostly surrounded by elves, right?
Mm.
And they are predisposed to be like, what the fuck does a Shem know about music, right? Like, we Dalish have got music figured out, right? But that said, you know how to play. You know how to please a crowd. And it takes them a little while to get into it. But yeah, some of them are, tapping their toes by the end of it. And the audience bursts into applause at the end.
Me too. I'm like, yeah, go Elian!
And she says, that was pretty good for a Shem.
Thank you.
I've certainly heard your kind come up with worse music, she says, and she strums her lute again.
Oh, I have too.
Why don't I, see if I can do a little number on this. So how this is going to work, she's getting the same modifier that you're getting.
Oh.
Oh no!
So she steps forward and like the song that she had been playing before was like it wasn't super fast, but the song she cranks out when she has to challenge a fucking Shem, she goes prestissimo. She goes super fast. Her fingers are like flying over the neck of this instrument in sex joke. I can't think of one, but I want credit for trying to dexterous think lesbian.
Yeah, there we go.
Joke.
Exactly. The
Got
fingers,
it.
yes.
Nailed it.
Cass is like a little distracted by the finger, like, okay, all right, I know Elian is my friend and family. However, that's pretty hot.
And it's not just fast, like it's also technically impressive, right? Like you as a bard can tell this very, very well because like how difficult it is to play arpeggios and stuff on a lute. And this improvisation, which she just casually spins off the dome, has a lot of that. She is very clearly technically talented, and the minute she's done, they've got this, woo! Like the crowd is absolutely going fucking wild.
He's a bard. He's used to performing. He's not letting any of that show. Because that is impressive.
It is pretty impressive. And she as soon as she's done, she spins the lute by the neck and then gives this flourishing bow.
Oh, man.
And she turns to you and is like, what do you think, Shem? You got anything to top that?
That was decent, but I think maybe I've got something up my sleeve.
Decent, he says. The Shem thinks I'm decent. How good of you. How polite of you to acknowledge your betters.
Oh, I didn't say it was transcendent. I said it was decent.
Oh, then goodness. Why don't you go ahead and transcend for us, Shem? Okay, and if you can beat 17 by 3 or more, you are going to transfer. But if you can't beat it, or if you only beat it by less than 2, she's going to have one more go against you.
So I think this time he pulls out all the stops. It is the fastest thing you've ever heard him play. He hasn't done too much playing for everybody yet, But this is clearly one that he is familiar with. It's something that he has known since he was a child. Grew up wanting to be the person playing the song and grew into it.
Roll that shit.
Yeah.
Roll that shit.
I'm like grabbing whoever's next to me like, I'm a little gay right now, but I still hope that Elian wins.
No!
Oh.
Oh shit, you know what? I also can probably use the pick to add something as well.
You probably fucking could.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a +3 on Dragon Die. So I think after he finishes this just whirlwind of picking, he kind of smirks over at her. So, how's my fingering?
So 15 plus 3 is 18. So that's actually, if you use the thumb pick, you actually beat her 17.
Yeah, I mean, canonically, he's going to be using the thumb pick anyway.
So you're using the thumb pick to get a +3 bonus to the 15, which is 18, and then you spew out that iconic line. And she's leaning back a little bit against one of the posts, just kind of watching you, and the crowd is totally into it. They burst into applause, and she doesn't admit defeat, but she does let you have it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was an impressive performance. She doesn't want to fight again. You have proven your mettle. Fine, I guess this particular Shem can play music, I guess. And yes, the money is redistributed. There are a lot of Dalish who are out of some money right now.
Oh no.
And as everything settles down, she kind of slinks over to you and she says, "So, was that a sincere interest? You really want to learn how to play the mountain lute?"
Could I play with that kind of passion and not be interested in as many instruments as possible? Of course I want to.
I'm sorry, I was asking that sincerely. Was that, just to be super clear, are we talking in metaphor, or... Leander, by the way, is sort of watching this exchange. His face is blank. He's just kind of
His face is always blank.
He's not capable of jealousy.
I feel like Elian's eyes slide over to him.
She says, "To be clear, if it was innuendo, I'm not saying no." And now we have completed one of the requirements of a Dragon Age game. You have to have the option of a threesome.
There we go.
Okay, so who is going to fucking talk about Clan Viella? Is anyone going to talk about Clan Viella at all?
So, I mean, that fucking leaves me I'm the only one here.
Least equipped to do this.
What's your communication score, Cassandra? 1?
It's 0, but it's fine.
It's 0? So let me just set the scene for you. So first of all, that Battle of the Bands thing, Cassandra, that was cool as hell.
That was awesome. I was like, wow, this is fun.
You enjoyed that a lot, and now you think Elian is off to have sex with her and also with Leander, which, I mean, based on the way they left together,
yeah.
Ren is now, the guest of honor at this huge feast, and it's going to be a while before this party settles down. But Sabre is gone, Elian is gone, Talgan seems busy.
Yeah, sure does.
Leander's gone. The only people left who might be able to help you are Fenris. And I think that's it. Fenris is the only one.
Oh no.
No, Dorian. Dorian is also here.
Oh my god, I forgot Dorian was there.
Yeah, Dorian, he was kind of wrapped up in that performance as well. And he, as they leave, he's like, good for him. He earned that.
I just kind of desperately I'm the only one left, Dorian, help.
And Dorian kind of, he's halfway into his second cup of wine. He says, "What? Help with what?"
Somebody needs to ask about Clan Viella, and they're all gone, except for me.
And Dorian's like, "Well, I mean, I would be perfectly willing to help, but me being a magister,
oh, right.
asking a bunch of elves invasive questions about one of their missing clans, I'm just saying it might be read the wrong way. And also, this is very good wine."
Mostly that.
It is.
He takes another sip of wine. Fenris kind of rolls his eyes. He says, "I am more than willing to assist if you need help, Cassandra."
I look at him and I'm like, oh, I was terrified of asking you.
He says, "Don't worry, you have your moments of being scary as well." And this might be a good time to get some approval with Fenris.
Oh my god, yes. Well, Dorian seems to make a good point, and also he is enjoying his wine, so I guess...
Gotta go! And he, stands up and leaves.
Alright, and there he goes, so I guess I accept your help, thank you.
He finishes off a swig of his own wine, and he says, "Alright, let's go mingle, let's see what we can do." You haven't really had much of an opportunity to talk to Fenris.
Right, exactly.
You know, reasonably, you might be a little spooked by him. He's got that lyrium in his skin, which is creepy, but handy as well. So what does it look like when you two are working together on this extremely important mission?
I feel like in the beginning, he's like, okay, let's go. And I'm like giving him like at least a foot of space, like just in case he decides, you know what? I just remembered I hate mages and I am going to kill you. I'm just like giving him a wide berth, like, okay, here we are together. Don't kill me.
Yeah, and he does not seem in any way put off by you. But when he notices that you are a little bit nervous, he flicks his eyes over to you and he says, something wrong?
Well, as I said, you are a bit terrifying.
He says, you're a bit terrifying too, my friend.
I don't mean to be. I wish people wouldn't think that about me.
More or less the same from me.
Ah. Like, I get a little closer after hearing that, like, I see. It's just I'm very big and it's not my fault.
He says, it's just that I'm covered in lyrium and it's not my fault.
Of course. Of course it wasn't your fault. Who would want that?
He says, you know, I had actually an interesting conversation with one of the firsts, as I was heading around the Arath Fen earlier. He said his keeper might be able to remove the markings on my skin, if I was interested.
That definitely gets my interest, and now I'm like, right up next to him, I'm like, is that possible? Something that they can do?
Ordinarily, I would say no, but he shrugs, he says, I am unfamiliar with Dalish magic, so perhaps there is a way. Perhaps they could come up with it. He seems kind of conflicted about it, like he's looking down at the marks along his arms, contemplatively.
And I'm also, like, looking at them like, well, do they hurt?
He says, every moment of every day.
Is that physical pain or something more?
No, it is physical pain. It's worse when they flare, when I use them for my abilities. He like, pushes his hand forward demonstratively, like, you know, that whole ripping out a heart thing?
Yep. And I sort of flinch at that, like, oh boy, that sure is scary. Glad it wasn't my heart.
He says, over time I've gotten used to the pain, but it is strange to think that they could be gone completely. He says, honestly, I'm not sure what answer I should give her.
After listening and watching him, I sort of nod and I'm like, it's part of you now, something that you have learned to live your life with. I can understand that.
And he says, indeed, and the thought of being without them seems strange. Not altogether unpleasant, but strange.
And I just sort of like, well, now you know it is an option. And did they tell you anything about what it requires?
He shakes his head. He says, no. She just mentioned that her keeper was an accomplished healer, and that if anyone were to know what might be done about it, she might. This is one of those gently encourage moments where
right.
Yukisanda could have the opportunity to gently encourage him to do one or the other.
I'm also conflicted too, because I'm like, I understand why he'd want to do that. Like, they are sexy as hell, but
it's a double-edged sword. Like, it's an interesting character decision.
Right.
Which is why, like, no matter what you suggest, he's like this. Like, he already slightly approves with this conversation. Like,
aww,
just talking about it with him is
cute.
It's nice. He likes to have someone to talk about with this, but it's more of like a gentle suggestion. It's up to Cassandra specifically.
Oh boy.
Obviously, it's very useful, but it also causes him physical pain.
Right. And that's the thing I think that she's going to latch onto, like, the fact that he's like, hey, also, like, I am in, like, pain all the time, every day. And she's like, oh no, that's not good. Yeah, after sort of, like, mulling it over for a bit, she's like, have you ever considered what it would be like not to be in pain?
He says, honestly, no. Before receiving these brands, all my memories were wiped away by the pain. I have met people from my past, but they are strangers to me. Perhaps the lack of pain might also bring back some of those memories that I have lost. And he doesn't seem to know how to feel about that.
Ooh.
As I said, this is your opportunity to gently encourage one direction or the other.
Right. Ugh. It's the conflict of Kay, who romance Fenris, and Cassandra, who doesn't fucking know Fenris at all. Well, as you know, with Leander trying to break his tranquility, that ritual didn't exactly work, so I am a bit wary of unknown magical rituals at the moment.
He hums and he says, indeed. It is not unwise to have a healthy dose of caution. So let's have both of you roll a communication investigation.
Oh, boy.
Which for Fenris is a +0.
It's great. Yeah.
Fenris got a 10. That's about on par with what I expected.
Oh my god!
Hey!
Cassandra pulls it out. So, like, a Dalish elf is more inclined to trust another elf, even if the elf is not Dalish.
Mm-hmm.
Fenris specifically he's a little snarly.
Yeah.
Not great with people. He's not very eloquent or good at communicating.
Nope.
In general. So, like, how it usually goes is, like, you'll find, like, a first who's, like, a big gossip, right?
Uh-huh.
And Fenris will be like, what do you know about Clan Viella? And then Cassandra will gently push him to the side. It's like, what my scary lyrium-covered friend means to say is, have you heard what happened to Clan Viella? And with a 15, Cassandra, you get a couple answers. Like, there are a couple people who knew a keeper of Clan Viella. They were expecting to hear back from her when she got to Arlethlen. They were waiting on messages from her that never came.
Oh.
Which is a little worrying, because it suggests that something has capital H happened to the keeper. And if something has happened to the keeper, that is not a good portent for the clan. But you're the only one who does any fucking investigation about this, because one player character is off desperately trying to find someone to marry his brother, and the other one's having a fucking threesome. So
I would apologize, but I don't regret this.
No, you were living the dream. Yeah, so I was like, good job, Fenris. You sure did scare people, but you sure did try.
He did his best.
Attempts
were made.
But something happened. I'm gonna put that with a capital H, too.
You arrived on day 2 of the Arlethven. The Hahren'al is on day 3. It is the first big capital T thing that happens at the Arlethven. Like, there are a bunch of little events that happen throughout the long 2 or 3 week process. The Hahren'al is the first big one, and it's an all-day event. The first couple hours are dedicated to individual keepers coming forward and talking about what ancient elven artifact they discovered on their travels, or retelling some old story that's integral to Dalish culture. But eventually it does open up to petitioners, people that would like to pose questions to the keepers, the assembled keepers and elders of the clans. And how is Elian? Let's ask, how is Elian?
He's good.
He's just fine. He's okay.
He's good. This is like the first time he's been feeling okay in like a month.
Is he like hungover at least?
I mean, neither of them were drunk when they partook. So, the time for petitioning comes up, and like, word has gotten around that Ren Sabre is here, and they're all sort of deferring to the Lucerni because they know that Ren has arrived with the Lucerni. There are people that want to make petitions, but like, they're not that important. They can wait. Like, everyone's kind of expecting you to want to talk first. So who is going to talk on behalf of the Lucerni?
Oh boy.
I know you don't like public speaking, Sabre, but like,
you are a Dalish.
Probably the best choice.
I hate this. So thanks. I think after, like, there's probably just, like, awkward silence. Like, everyone's like, who's gonna talk? And I'm finally like, fuck.
Dorian thumps you on the back.
Just to clarify, before I get started and make a fool out of myself, out of character. So we have artifacts that we're presenting.
Yes. Lannon has given you the bag full of the artifacts, and that's a good opener.
Can you just remind me of the historical significance, though, so I can introduce them correctly?
The idea behind the Hahren'al is that elven culture should be shared with all the Dalish. Any artifacts or any, like, ancient objects from the Elven On, they don't belong to any one Dalish, they belong to all the Dalish.
Gotcha. And so Lannon found these, and we're returning them to just all of the Dalish as a whole.
The artifacts were returned to Lannon when Clan Llewellyn was killed.
Okay, gotcha.
And Lannon is in turn returning them to the Dalish.
So I think after nobody steps forward, I'm just like, fuck. And I step forward. Greetings, elders. My name is Sabray, Yariel Sabray of Clan Sabray. I come with the Lucerni, and we come bearing gifts. We have here artifacts from Clan Llewellyn that were given to Inquisitor Llewellyn, former Inquisitor Llewellyn, after.
Lennon pulls his hood further down. No, he's like, if people would not notice that he's here, he'd be happy with that.
Oh, shit. Oh.
If he could go this whole meeting not being recognized, he'd love that.
So I think I just sort of gestured to have them brought up or something.
To paint a picture, you are all sitting in this very wide circle, and there are 4 bonfires on the outside, but there's nothing on the inside because that would inhibit your ability to see each other, right? So Sabray stands up and he addresses the elders assembled, and Dorian comes forward and he very reverently puts the open bag down in the center, and then he steps back. One of the keepers steps forward. He is a tall, very, very lithe, almost bony gentleman with silvering hair, and he kind of approaches the bag and he uses the end of his staff. All keepers are mages. He uses the end of his staff to sort of poke open the bag and look inside. And he addresses you, Sabray, because you're there, and he says, "These are kingly gifts to present to the Hahren'al." He says, "You say these came from Clan Llewellyn?"
Indeed, I incline my head.
"We will accept these offerings, of course, but not, I think, without some mixed emotion. Were you given these by Inquisitor Llewellyn yourself?"
I think I I look at Lannon.
Lannon looks like he wants to melt into the floor. God, he does not want to be here. He does not want to talk to them.
Okay. Well, I'm a good almost boyfriend.
Oh.
I turn back and sort of step so that he, I don't know, kind of it's shielding him, and I say, "Indeed."
Is he among your number?
Shit. Lying is bad, right? That would be a bad look.
Yeah, it probably would. You can try if you want to. There's a lying.
No, I'm not a good liar. I know that about myself.
Communication deception, if you really want to.
That's not a thing that I have.
I'm not surprised.
I think probably what happens is that I hesitate, and it's very obvious that I'm about to try to lie, and then I go, "Yeah, he's here."
And he says, "And you do not think that he should have presented these artifacts himself?"
I would have not taken the liberty to question Inquisitor Llewellyn's decisions.
And the keeper addressing you kind of chuckles darkly and he says, "I think there are many assembled here who would question his decisions."
I just chuckle awkwardly, what?
Haha, what?
The keeper, he starts this broad circle around you and he says, "Most of the keepers and the elders here know exactly why you are turning these artifacts over to us now. We know why Clan Llewellyn was destroyed. It was because of the Inquisitor's misguided judgment. The blood of Clan Llewellyn is soaked on his hands."
This is news to me, right?
Yeah. He has not talked about what specifically happened to Clan Llewellyn with you.
I think I just look at, bewildered confusion. Well, that doesn't sound like Inquisitor Llewellyn at all. Surely you must be mistaken, Elder, with all due respect.
He says, "Then why doesn't he come forward to defend himself?" He's looking like he knows, right? He knows what Lannon looks like, because obviously Keeper Virana has very distinct blonde hair, and he knows that her son probably also looks a little bit like her. The hood can't disguise all of that blonde hair. And he's looking right at Lannon. And, oh god, Lannon, he looks like he wants to puke. Fear puke.
I think Elian just kind of puts a hand on his elbow, just "You can do this."
He can. He does not want to.
Right.
I'm just gonna, play dumb. I just look again at the Elder, and I'm just "Once again, Elder, I'm afraid that I cannot speak for Inquisitor Llewellyn."
Then let him speak for himself. You said he's among your number. And then finally Lannon speaks up and he says, "I am here." And there's a quiet murmur that goes out around the circle assembled. He stands up. He does not have his staff on him. Very deliberately, he does not want to be armed. And he slinks forward, and he pulls his hood down, and with as much courage as he can muster, he stares at this keeper. And he says, Keeper Thundrin, Clan Vir Tavan.
Of course.
And he says, Lannan of the former Clan Lavellan, or shall I address you as the Herald of Andraste? And Lannan says, I would rather you did not, Keeper. And he says, I put a rather serious charge to you. How do you answer it? Lannan stares down at his own feet and he says, the death of Clan Lavellan, I was not present when it happened. He says, that is not the charge that I put to you. I did not ask if you swung the sword that felled your keeper. I am asking if you are responsible. I have charged that you are responsible for their deaths, that your mismanagement led to their deaths. And Lannan looks devastated. He says, I did what I thought was best. My ambassador was telling me that if I marched an army into the free marches, that people would think I was declaring holy war. So I sent an ambassador instead of an army, and I lost. And he drops his head again. And he says, you sent an ambassador instead of an army, and now your hands run red with Dalish blood.
I'm over here getting real defensive.
Uh-huh.
I think I've just, grabbed, I've got a death grip on my spear. I know it's, bad form, but...
You could be armed.
Okay.
Lannan did not want to be armed, because he did not want to, he didn't want this to happen. He didn't want people to get defensive around him. But you can have your weapon out.
I round on Thandrin, and I say, interesting charges coming from the keeper of Clan Vir Tavan. Can you tell me, perhaps, what's happened to Clan Vaela?
That gets a couple more murmurs. And he says, if you have some charges to lay at my feet, then I bid you speak.
I just find it interesting in light of certain rumors that I've heard recently. There's no other information you'd like to offer? Where are they? Perhaps has anyone seen them recently? Still at home, keeping the homestead?
Thandrin says, the people of Clan Vaela are safe in Arlethlan, the homeland that we have built with blood and sweat. And then suddenly one of the other keepers from behind him says, due respect, Keeper Thandrin, it was not you who won that land for the Dalish.
Indeed, and I grab Ren.
Ren he's been eating popcorn this entire time, oh shit! He is dragged up, and there's another quiet murmur.
Something else that we wanted to present to the elders.
Ren, ever the wordsmith, looks around and is like, hey!
I love the relation there. Perfect.
So, do you want to say who you are, Ren, maybe? I elbow him in the side.
Ow. I'm Ren.
Oh my god. Elian just kind of steps forward. We have Ren Sabre here. He did not perish in his final battle against the archdemon.
Hey, what's up?
Little asshole.
He's not good at public speaking.
Useless fucking asshole. I just sort of sigh exasperatedly, and I say, the hero of Ferelden.
Yep, that's me. I didn't really get that appellation until after I was dead. I didn't really die. Whatever. I don't know. No one ever spent a whole lot of time calling me the hero. Mostly I was just busy, so I didn't really get a chance to... He leads over. What am I doing up here? What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. I hadn't thought through this far.
Keeper Thandrin eyes Ren up and down, and he says, so we are expected to believe not only that Ren Sabre has mysteriously come back from the dead, or that he was never dead at all, and we are also supposed to believe that the Herald of Andraste, he says very deliberately, gesturing at Lannan, is here with the best interest of the Dalish in mind. We all know why you're really here, he says, and he points his staff at you, Sabre. He says, you're here to recruit the Dalish to your cause. This Lucerne, he says sort of derisively. You want us to spill more blood on your behalf.
I think perhaps you've been misinformed.
Then what are you doing here?
We're here to recruit your help against a blight.
And that gets a lot of attention. You thought the muttering around, Ren being introduced was a lot. This, whispers light like wildfire around this circle. And a couple of the keepers from behind is like, a blight. You're certain it's a blight. And it says, What about the Grey Wardens? Where are the Grey Wardens? Shouldn't they be here? We have ancient treaties with the Wardens. And Ren finally steps up. He says, the Wardens are gone. They have been disbanded. And that is a story that we can tell another time if you insist upon hearing it. But for now, I promise you, assembled keepers, the Hahren'als, I promise you, this is a blight. I have felt it, and my friends have seen an archdemon fly out of a cave near Minrathous. I assure you, this is real, this is happening, and we do not have a lot of time to assemble before people are going to start dying. And Keeper Thandrin steps forward to him challengingly. He says, and why should we believe you over our own sense of self-preservation? He says, you recruited the Dalish the last time the blight came up, and how many of them are dead now? How many Dalish bodies were at your feet the last time a blight came here?
How many lives were saved?
How many more would be dead?
And this results in what very quickly devolves into an argument. Keeper Thandrin starts shouting, we cannot trust any one of these elves that the Lucerni put forward. One of them has slaughtered his own clan. One of them is supposed to be dead. The other keepers are yelling over each other. We can't argue like this in the face of a blight. We need to be united. And that just gets more arguing started.
Oh no.
I'm very quickly out of my depth here. Can't hit anyone with spear. Don't know what to do.
There's a lot of shouting that's going on. And yep, it's only getting worse the longer this yelling goes on. And Lennon, like you can see, like, he wants to intervene, but, like, he thinks he's really not the person to do it. Like, clearly, the Dalish blame him for the death of his clan, and he kind of blames himself for the death of his clan. So Ren kind of looks at Lennon, and then looks at you, Sabre, like...
I, look at Ren, and I'm just like, this is the worst. I hate all of you. And I think I stride into the middle of the room, and, oh, where's that fucking horn?
Ooh, the hollow war horn.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Can I do that?
Absolutely you can.
Sweet. I get into the middle of the room, and I blow that stupid fucking horn as loud as I possibly can.
It definitely gets everyone's attention, and it succeeds in silencing the room, and all eyes turn to you.
Enough. Enough sitting here and arguing like children. We can all sit here and say that we want others to die for us, that we want everyone else to march onto the battlefield and protect us while we stay home and stay safe. But that is not what we are as Dalish, and you know it. We do not shrink from a fight. We have spent our entire lives being persecuted and fighting for our lives. Surely this is nothing but one more.
The Keeper Thandrin folds his arms over his chest and he says, your words are very pretty, Yariel of Sabre clan. That you will get no support with words alone. Clan Virtavan is the largest of all the clans, and without our support... And suddenly, Keeper Virana steps forward and says, Clan Sulanon stands with the Lucerni.
Ooh.
And then a couple others step forward. More keepers start standing up and shouting their piece, like, we cannot defeat a blight not united. We stand with the Lucerni. And then more and more clans are stepping forward, and finally, the Keeper Thandrin slams the butt of his staff into the floor, and the entire, like, you're outside, it is nighttime, and the entire ground rumbles ominously at the collision of his staff into the dirt. And he says, enough. And he looks at you and he says, I request that the Lucerni join me in my Aravel. Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes in pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/CFCDiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Critfail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/CFC channel, or wherever you get your podcasts.